Hey YouTube, a few days ago I was mowing the lawn, mulching over leaves. This is a 1999 Lazer Z HP with a 23 horsepower Kawasaki and a 52-inch deck with mulch kit and gator blades. So I was mowing along and the deck stopped working. I assumed the belt was broken, but the belt wasn't broken. It turns out one of the idler pulleys, one of the bearings in the idler pulleys basically exploded. The belt is fine, so I bought two other pulleys. These were available on eBay. Buy it now for $18 shipped. One thing I really like about zero-turn mowers is the parts are very universal and for the most part very inexpensive. This pulley is used on, I think it was the Hustler units and a number of other ones. I searched for the part number in my Exmark manual, and that cross-referenced to a ton of other numbers, and came up with this, which looks pretty much identical to the original. I've never worked on this before. I got this mower in 1999. It only has about 360 hours. The only thing I had to replace on this, knock on wood, besides oil, fluid changes, filter changes, was one hydraulic belt. The hydraulic drive belt was the only thing that failed on this. So I really wasn't familiar at all with this. And I know everything's covered with grass clippings and leaves. I haven't power washed it since spring, but this unit comes out pretty darn clean. There's the FH 680V, 23 horsepower Kawasaki. So basically this is pretty simple under here. I have the deck jacked up a little bit with a block under it. There's only 3 idler pulleys. The belt goes around the engine pulley, comes back, goes around this one, which is the tensioner pulley, the spring-loaded tensioner pulley, around to the one spindle, the left blade spindle if you're sitting on it, comes over to the center one, and then this is a fixed idler. It goes around that, brings it around to the right side spindle, and what you can't see is another fixed idler that brings it back and back to the pulley on the engine. These are really, let me just show you how this works. It's really simple. Again, these things are so simple. You basically have a bolt. This is just a bolt and a washer. This goes up through the deck, and there's an extra little metal pad for thickness. This spacer goes over it. Your idler pulley goes over that. The center of the bearing sits over that. And then you put a washer on top and a nut. I'm going to use a little blue Loctite on this. Doesn't really matter. You could also put a little never seize here, even though this came apart no problem. When I first removed the nut, this bolt stayed in place in the deck. Since it's been like that for the last 18 years. It wasn't until I started pulling this piece off and moving it around where it just dropped. So the only slightly tricky part is getting the bolt to go up under the deck to come up. where you can then place the spacer, the new pulley, then the washer, and the nut. So I've used a pair of vice grips. I jacked it up just enough where I can bring this up and under and then let the bottom of the vice grip sit on the ground. So that sits up and I can kind of stick an arm up there, an arm down there. Again, support the deck with a jack and a block of wood. Like, I'm not lifting the whole thing up, I'm just holding the machine up, I'm just lifting the deck up. So I'm going to reposition the camera, hopefully in a good spot. Okay, what I'm going to do now, just to simplify things, is to put this up through the bottom of the deck, and I'm going to lower the deck a bit so this sits on the ground and kind of just holds it up, and then you'll see much better how things work from the top. Okay, here's a better view. I ended up lowering the deck down all the way. It's not on any jacks. I have it at the 3-inch height. I mean, it could even be a little lower. And the bolt is on the vice grip right now up through the deck. So I'm just going to show you here how the tensioner works. This is a spindle pulley. It's a fixed idler. And you can see this sticking up here. That's the bolt that comes up through the bottom. And this is the other idler. This is spring loaded. This gives you the tension. So see, I'm pushing out and then it comes back. You can see the spring move in and back. Okay, so again, that's the bolt coming up through the bottom of the deck. Next, the spacer goes over that. Take the pulley, put it over the spacer. It'll slide down over that. Now see, right now it's hitting the spring. So I use a large adjustable wrench or medium-sized adjustable wrench, just to pull that out of the way. That allows the pulley to sit over it. Next, place the washer on top and the nut. Tighten with a 9/16 socket or wrench. I have the vice grip under there. I'm not holding it, but the bolt isn't spinning. So just tighten that up. And then let go of the tensioner. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is remove the belt off this pulley. The one in the back is the one that failed. I just have a bungee cord pulling it towards the engine to just not make too much of a mess out of it. So I'm just going to get the belt out of the way. And this pulley makes a little noise. Doesn't sound too great. So again, this is a 9/16. Just have a nut and a washer. Lift the pulley off. Again, this has been like this for the last since 1999. It's been what, 18 years next year. So this is just, again, this is just a bolt that comes through, but I'm hoping I won't have to hold it from the bottom since it's been stuck like that. That sounds like a dry bearing. Which is hard to hear when you're mowing, especially with noise protection on and just the noise of the deck in general. Okay, I went ahead and put a couple drops of Loctite on that bolt. Again, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think they specify in the direct instructions, but in any case, here's the new pulley. Just put that over, and we have the washer, and then the nut. The nut actually has this reverse. See if I can zoom in on there. These little teeth on that. It's kind of like somewhat of a locking feature at the base of the nut. Again, 9/16 ratchet. Okay, the last step is to reinstall the belt. The belt starts out back at the engine, comes over on the left side if you're sitting on it, around the spring self-tensioner, over this way around the far left spindle, which spins the blade, back around to the middle spindle, around this fixed tensioner. That gives it grip on this pulley, or else it would, if it just went right over that way, it might lose traction here. And then around the far right spindle. Then it comes back around the pulley we put on in the back there, and then it goes back to the engine. So all you have to do is push the spring-loaded tensioner, which allows the belt to move back there, and release it. I don't know if I mentioned, but there's a grease fitting back on this pivot. It's good I did a grease that every once in a while, but that was a lot easier than I expected.